Yesterday, Rebel HQ reporter Emma Vigeland unearthed a video from back in 2015 of Joe Biden praising former Vice President Dick Cheney, and here is a section of it.
First of all, I actually like Dick Cheney for real. I get on with him. I think he's a decent man. When I went to see him, I didn't talk to him before. I went to see him after we were elected, and he talked about how the office worked as related to the functioning of the office. But he was extremely helpful and gracious about the office and the legal parameters of the office.
Okay, so there's obviously much more to it. You can look up Emma Vigeland's Twitter. She has a link to not only more of that video, but then also you can see the entire forum if you'd like to see the full context in case you think that it's being taken out of context. I have thoughts on this obviously, but I'm curious what you guys think.
Go ahead, Jayar.
Okay, so this is another one of those things that's gonna hit Biden over and over again. We see where he lands. He's that guy who was part of the old guard. He's a part of that whole establishment Democrat thing, right? So where you wanna play the middle and it appeals to certain folks. We forget what happened 2 administrations ago. And he represents part of that. He was saying this in 2015 when he went and saw Cheney right after the Obama administration came in, which was probably around the beginning of 09. I'm not sure exactly when he went to talk to him. But he said he came in right after that. And you know, whenever you see things that the current president does, and then we see old clips from W, and we're like, oh, W, you were so stupid. But you know what? I kind of wish you were around again. People say things like that because it's been that long. The Iraq War started in 03, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
There's people who don't know why we're in that war, who don't realize that why it was started in the thing, and the misconceptions and lies that were told by the Bush administration, the W administration, about reasons we got in, things that Cheney did, and way he was running that administration. And we were incensed about it at the time. After so much time, you tend to forget. And although this got uncovered and people are still hair on fire over it, rightfully so, there's gonna be still enough people, and they'll say, oh, but you know, but that was when W was in power, and that's nowhere near as bad as it is now, and we'll gloss over it. Now, I'm not saying everyone will, but that's why these things are important to point out and give that context too. This is the W administration where he's talking about legal ramifications for things and the legal way of doing things. Dick Cheney, legal ways of doing things. We're talking about the way we were waterboarding people and torture began and sending people off to Guantanamo Bay. There's countless things we can talk about that they did, but we forget.
So there's a larger problem, and I'm going to draw it in a little bit smaller. But the first thing is Americans, I think, generally have a very short memory. This is a conversation that comes up whenever I try to talk about like racial issues, and you always get hit back with, this slavery was such a long time ago. Like people have still, like the last person I believe that was on record being lynched was in the 80s, right? That is not a long time ago. And I come from a place where our history, decades old, and we still talk about the historical consequence of the way things work out. But there's something about in America when it comes to trying to forget some of the ugliest parts of history to move forward. Is a way to avoid discussions around what we need to do to continue to try and make reparations for issues in the past. So when it comes to someone like Joe Biden, what we've had with Donald Trump is a lack of diplomacy, right? Where this is a man who just says what he feels, and people are so sick and tired of him thinking he can get away with saying and doing anything, that they start to look at someone like George W. Bush giving Michelle Obama candy and being like, Georgie, I miss George. I miss when presidents could give each other candy and then go and wage illegal wars. That's not too bad because he's giving out candy. Same thing with Joe Biden at the moment, where it really gets under my skin is because it's not just that people on the Democratic side who will look at this, as Jayar said, and go, well, I mean, it was a long time ago. We need someone in the office who's gonna give us back some sort of diplomacy in the White House. When you have to think about it is, Joe Biden's decision making in the past still has major consequences on the way the system, specifically the judicial system, works today. So we can't just look at small issues like Dick Cheney being an okay guy, as they're calling it a small issue, and being like, no, this is someone who's had these points of view in the past, and we can't forgive simply because that was 2 presidencies ago. You need to hold people accountable. That's why history in this country repeats itself time and time again, because there's a lack of accountability.
Yeah. And what it seems like he's doing is what we call out a lot in how politicians talk about other politicians, how the media talks about politicians. It's, what's the term that Cenk likes to use? the distinguished blank or whatever. Like you always have to pretend that these people are, we talk about them as if they're the founding fathers. I personally don't think we should talk about the founding fathers that way, but at least that's a long time ago. We have to pretend that these people are, as Biden would say, genuinely good people. Both of you have brought up a number of policy reasons that I don't think that you can enthusiastically support a war that kills hundreds of thousands of people and then hope to reclaim the mantle of being a genuinely good person. But I mean, it goes even deeper than that. Joe Biden is being polite in the way that we're polite. But again, as you pointed out, this sort of politeness and turning on the blinders to what happened in the past ensures that we're going to see the same sorts of outcomes in the future. And in particular, the way he talks about Dick Cheney is that he's a genuinely good guy. And what he's trying to manifest there is this idea that we can disagree on politics, but we can still talk and we can be friends. And he welcomed me to the office and he gave me some advice. Okay, but what did he do for decades? As a person, is he genuinely good? Okay, he supports the war. Maybe he was just wrong. Maybe he was ill-informed in what would happen there. For decades, he voted against the establishment of MLK Day as an actual day. He voted against Nelson Mandela being released. He voted against the creation of Head Start. I mean, you can go back to what was he as a politician for decades leading up to him actually being the vice president. This is a guy who's not fundamentally a good guy. This is a hardcore racist that helps to make not just his own personal views, it became the policy of the United States thanks to his impassioned action over the course of decades. And Joe Biden just wants to pretend that that's not there. And I know that some people are already frustrated that videos like this are coming out. This is just one, so Emma found that. Great work by Emma. There have been a number recently, and some people are getting pissy about it. So I saw Nate Silver, by the way. I don't like to talk about Nate Silver 2 days in a row, I apologize. He is just emblematic of this sort of thing. So there was a conversation about his Joe Biden's stance on things like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, the possibility of cutting those. And Nate Silver responds with, okay then Mr. Bragg person, maybe argue about Biden's role in that rather than playing CSI C-SPAN with video clips from 1995, because there's video clips from 2015, also from 1995. He's been in office for a really long time. Here's the thing. Using the available evidence, not from a person's blog from 40 years ago or even from when they appeared on a radio show or something. This is him in these videos on the floor of the House, in some cases, floor of the Senate, advocating for policies. That's not writing fan fiction. We're not doing cosplay when we analyze that. That's what we have to use to choose a candidate from. And look at how, if you were doing that work, I don't know how Emma found the video. I'm assuming that she went through a whole bunch of C-SPAN stuff. So look at how condescending the approach to that sort of work is. And the assumption that no, anything that happened in the past, we should just forget. Joe Biden should simultaneously get experience for being an experienced politician, but none of that experience should be analyzed.
And and the correct response when these things come up isn't that never happened, how dare you? And I'm not saying Joe Biden is necessarily saying this, but a lot of his defenders will. How dare you bring these types of things up when I'm just trying to run for president in 2020? So that's how we get things, you talk about forgetting our history. It's how we get things like statues of generals in the South.
Yeah, for sure.
Part of a group of people who were traitors to America, who were trying to split America in half based off of their policies of enslavement. So we can gloss over that thing and put up statues of people, and again, in this day and age, in present day, still have Americans defend those statues because they're like, well, they were patriotic Americans, weren't they? No, they actually weren't. So what, 100 years down the way from now, we can put up statues of Dick Cheney and say he was a patriotic American who did things in the American way? No, we can't say that, but we're setting ourselves up to do that. So the people who, we weren't around when Robert E. Lee was around, obviously, but we can remember him that way and put up a big ass statue of him and make it seem like it's a great thing. No, let's not set up that history for the future. But it's part of what they're upset about because it's all being broken down right now. It's being dismantled. The legacy of the W administration and the horrible things they did aren't gonna be able to stand up for positive memory.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.